You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
Boy, I hope you're ready, because I've got Tho Bishop on here now. Tho, are you alive this morning? I know it's Saturday morning. You probably had a rough night last night campaigning, didn't you?
It's been crazy. It's been crazy. We're in the crunch down time right now, but having a blast.
I'm glad you're. Now, one of the things that I'm hoping that people, if they're listening out there, they will be able to call and we'll answer any questions if anybody has any questions.
Absolutely.
But one of the things out here now, I posted this on Facebook. I've said what about use of force and coercion to get things in public context out there to get your way, and that's what a lot of politicians use of force to achieve political, social, and personal and moral, grounds and get things their way. And that's the non-aggressive principle, is not to do that. And one of the things I'm asking is, I know you're a Republican, but do you believe that it's right to use coercion and force to get your way politically or socially in office?
Absolutely not, and that's one of the problems we have here in the country as a whole, and especially in the state of Florida, is that we have way too many laws. And the problem is that whenever you pass a law, you have to understand that what you're authorizing is the use of force. This isn't just a moral suggestion. It isn't a guideline to living a better life. I mean, you are threatening people with either putting them in jail, taking their money, or sometimes using violence itself to seek that end. So our law system should be as limited as possible and dedicated to life, liberty, and protection of property. Nothing else.
And well, that seems to be the thing is, my goal is to ask every public official running for office, do you believe in the use of force? And most of them I've asked have say, of course not, I don't believe in force, but they've already run for office and they've been in office. I say, but you helped pass a law that says if we don't do this, you're going to give me a fine, and if I don't pay the fine, you will put me in jail, and if I don't, and then you may take my property or my, and so that is force. And that's what people don't seem to be understanding out there.
But I have hope, because I think people are waking up. People are understanding that government's gotten too big. And I think people are tired of just the political complacency of the status quo, be it Democrat or Republican. And so what I'm really excited about is the progress being made on the Republican side for people that really understand individual liberty and understand the cause of the Founding Fathers. And if the more we can get that sort of wave in office, I think the better we're going to be as a country, and just have a much better life as people. Do you think that your message is scaring the status quo when they have so much power that they can do certain things to people and just to quiet them? I think so, and that's one of the really exciting things about the campaign right now, is that we're being outspent 20-1, and it's because of people like Bernie Thompson, who was on your show earlier. I mean, and he told me a couple months ago that he thought that this race, supporting this campaign with this cause, may be what finally gets him off the radio, and the fact that he was willing to stand by his guns and stand on principle and stand on truth, and up to being fired. I think that's what makes Bernie Bernie, and that's it's that passion that people have, for liberty, that to me is just so inspiring. And I'm excited to see his new venture at My Freedom Radio. So.
Well, and that's true. And yes, there is a new venture happening, because when the door closes, there's always another door opens. If you're smart enough, you'll see that door open. If you're smart enough to catch it, and I'm sure he is, and that door is opening pretty wide. But the thing is, I want people to understand where you're coming from. What makes you different than any of the other candidates, Republican or Democrat or Green Party? Because I got Henry Lawrence in there. What makes you different than any of those candidates? And I how I am about Ron Paul. When they asked him that question, he gave a different answer. But what is your answer?
Well, it's kind of two different ways. For one, I mean, it's the philosophical foundation. It is a true commitment to individual liberty. Being consistently small government. The fact that I can't tell you how to properly run your life, and I don't think Tallahassee, with all all the people and all the lobbyists and special interests there, have any better ability to do that either.
Well, they try real hard.
And then on the other side, just kind of a different sort of matter is just this experience. I've dealt with economic legislation. I've seen the consequences of bills that were meant to make lives better, that actually had consequences hurting those that didn't have political power. They don't have a lobbyist.
Right.
I've seen banking regulations, meant to hurt Wall Street actually make their sector bigger. The too big to fail banks are bigger than they ever have been before. While meanwhile, small and community banks are suffering, and it's choking off the ability for any business to get loans and get capital.
Okay, now speaking of loans and one of the things and capital and everything, I've noticed that when legislators who run for office here in Florida or wherever they may be, especially here in Florida, they may have, when they go into office, they may have a net worth of $40, $50, $100,000 net worth, but after 4, 8 years, they're worth $6, $8 million. I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot of transparency to me. It sounds like they have the insider information, which they're legal to do. I mean, it's legal for them to do that. But I find it, whether it may be legal, I find it unethical and unappetizing that they can do that and then tell us that they're looking out for us.
Well, that's one of the problems we have here in Tallahassee. People focus on the problems we have in Washington. They focus on the lobbyists. They focus on special interests, the roles of party leadership. I haven't met a single Republican in Bay County that's particularly happy with John Boehner. Well, the problem is that we have the same exact problem in Tallahassee,
We do.
and even on local government level to a certain extent. It's the same exact problem we have in politics is at all three. The difference is that Washington has all the cameras. It gets all the media attention. It's a sexy city to cover. Tallahassee, not quite so much. And so what I want to do is bring transparency to Tallahassee, to bring this message to Tallahassee, and doing things like. One of my favorite legislators in Washington is Justin Amash.
Mine too.
Who scored a major victory this week.
Did he?
Good for the country. And one of the things he does is that he explains every single vote personally on his Facebook page. He explains why he does it from a constitutional standpoint, explains the details involved, and he lets his constituents know exactly why he does what he does.
Right.
And that's what I want to do in Tallahassee as well, because the more we really show the voters and we show constituents why, what compels us to vote for a certain piece of legislation. I think that really shows who we are as individuals and gives them much more control to the people over the entire process.
Well, in my industry, we're the automotive industry, and I got to talk something about cars here a little bit on my show, or I'll get in trouble somebody. But even in my industry, every time I turn around, I've got another regulation coming. When I first went in business in 1980, I didn't have to put anything other than James Morris, James Auto Center. I put a sign up there. I was in the county. I didn't have a license. Didn't have to have a license. But since that time, I've had to be licensed. I've been regulated. I mean, every time I turn around, they're wanting to put a well on my a meter on my well to make sure that how much water I use. We've got people in Tallahassee, we got people in Washington trying to tell us how to live our lives. Every time I turn around, I've got more and more regulations coming down the pipe at us. And what would you do that's any different than what we got right now? Because we got people in there right now that say, "Oh, I'm not going to make smaller government," but yet then next thing I turn around, we've got bills for septic tanks out there.
Exactly. And it's easy to talk about less regulation, and that's what I haven't met a single Republican running on more.
Right.
The difference is what I want to do is completely reform the way regulations are written. There's something on the federal level, a proposal called the REINS Act, and I want to take that to Tallahassee. What it basically says is that before a regulatory agency writes a rule that impacts the way you can do business, that changes the way that you as the mechanic have to do your job.
Right.
It has to go back to the state legislature and have the fingerprint of your elected representatives on that rule and regulation. They have to approve it.
Wow.
Because and before they do that, that rule does not have the force of law. Because I'm sorry, the country was not built to have a system of bureaucrats writing rules completely unaccountable to the people themselves, and have those decisions impact the way that you live your life. And that's what we've gotten. We've lived in Washington and both in Tallahassee. We are living by the law of rulers, not the rule of law, and that's what we have to change. And
that's speaking of that right now. I'll give you an example. Right now we got Bull Wolcifer. Now he's not a Republican, but he's running against Republicans Pam Bondi and Sheldon. Sheldon, he's filed a formal protest, doesn't qualify to run for that office, and I think that's pretty darn bold move to point out. And the Democratic Party is going, well, it's all right, but no, the rule of law should apply to all of us equally, not just to us unwashed people.
Especially when we're talking about the Attorney General.
Yes.
But the thing is, the fact that we have Republicans like Pam Bondi out there, I think that kind of shows the state of the party we're in right now. I mean, this is a Republican who has ruled that if you have a concealed weapon in your car, even with a legal permit, but that gives the police the right to search your entire vehicle.
She's a tyrant in high heels. I'm serious. This woman is a tyrant.
When you're in the state of Florida, you should not be giving up your Fourth Amendment right simply because you decide to practice your Second. And the fact that we have that is absolutely outrageous, and that's what's got to change.
And I also have someone wrote me on Facebook to wish you a happy birthday before I go any further, because I know it's your birthday, and you're what, 26 today?
25 today.
25 today.
Yeah, I like to keep things simple. That's why my name is Tho, just 3 letters. And my birthday is 8/9/89. And if it wasn't for that, I'd probably lose track of it. So,
but I want to let people now. People want to know. I got someone Hanson's going to be on in a few minutes. Does Hanson want to ask a question to Tho, or is he going to be? He's just going to be on in a second. But I want to have him both. But Tho, now people want to know more about your campaign. I know they can get you on Facebook, but how do they know? How can they help? I mean, how can they give you money? $5. If people just give $5, it would make a difference. Absolutely.
We have PayPal on the Facebook page. Tho Bishop, Florida House District 6. My website, thobishop.com. That's THOBISHOP.com. You can hit me up on email, thobishop@gmail.com, and anything you can do. More importantly than anything else right now, since we're in the last few weeks, is just tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors, tell some random stranger at Home Depot. Anyone you can do. Every vote's going to count, and it's going to matter in this race. It's going to be a small election. And I tell you what, again, in spite of going up against the establishment, in spite of the fact that they're trying to silence some of my greatest supporters, we are making huge gains. I think we're going to win this one.
I think we are too, because we're really upsetting the status quo. Because I just love to stir the pot. I do. I love this. I love it. I think it's where. Hey, Tho, we got to go, because Tho knows out there. Give him.
Thank you so much, Dave.
All right, y'all be good. I want to get Hanson Hindenburg on here from Baytown Tires just a minute. So if you got a car question, give us a call.
James Auto Center, we fix it right.